I have been covering Unsolved Mysteries cases for over a decade in one form or another. And the one thing that I always seem to get taken back by is how cruel people can be to each other. The case of Robert Dirscherl is a shining example of that. On March 13th, 1977, 54-year-old Robert Dirscherl was shot and killed in the bedroom at his residence in Dunedin, Florida. If having your loved one being brutally shot and killed wasn't bad enough, 16 years later, almost to the day of Robert's death in 1993, a letter was mailed to the son of Robert Dirscherl. Basically, it was from the killer. The killer is basically saying that he has AIDS, that he killed Robert Dirscherl, and he's basically praying for forgiveness. I have a very black and white way of thinking. You're either good or you're bad. There's no shades of gray. So when I saw this letter when I was younger, it upset me. The only thing I can say is, you want forgiveness, take your ass to church. Because I am not in the market for giving forgiveness to people who kill innocent people. Anyway, here is the case preview for what we are about to watch.
When Robert Dirscherl died of a gunshot wound, his family had little choice but to accept the police ruling of suicide. Then the arrival of a mysterious letter and the uncanny testimony of a psychic brought the case back to life.
Okay, let's get on with that case, shall we? Okay, so let's get this show going, shall we? So video on 3, 2, 1.
Robert Dirscherl.
Okay, so right off the bat, the thing that really shocked me, it's something that they really do not mention that much. But apparently Robert Dirscherl, he was actually a veteran. He was part of World War II. Hey, let's see if I can fix it so you guys can see it. Hold on 1 second. There you go. So I know you really can't see that well, but it says that he was in World War II, it looks like. Private first class. So that's one thing that's always kind of shocks me when I watch these cases. Basically, that they will kind of overlook something so simple. You would not believe how many times I've done these kind of videos or these cases, and upon research, come to find out that they're actually a veteran.
Beloved husband and father of 5. Born 1923. Died 1977. Dirscherl was killed by a single gunshot to the chest. Authorities called it suicide. For 16 long years, Dirscherl's wife and children had no choice but to accept the official ruling. All that changed suddenly and unexpectedly in March of 1993. Guy Dirscherl, one of Robert's sons, received a letter postmarked March 13th, 16 years to the day after his father's death.
It's a small, short letter in block, strange handwriting. And I read it once, and I read it the second time, and I was just totally flooded with emotion. It was as if I'd been kicked right in the chest.
The letter was short, just 35 words, but its stark message would turn the Dirscherl's world upside down. I have AIDS. I am dying. I must make my peace with the Lord. I killed your daddy 15 years ago. He found me in his bedroom. I had no choice. Please pray for me.
And that is what fucking pisses me off. Number one, the guy claims that he has AIDS. Now, let's say that this is legitimate, that this letter was legitimate, and it was from the killer. The guy is asking for forgiveness. And not only is he asking for forgiveness, he's hiding behind the fact that he may or may not have AIDS. I'm sorry, motherfucker. I don't feel bad for you. In fact, if that was my dad that he killed, and he sent me this letter, he'd go, "Hey Jeff, yeah, about me killing your dad 16 years ago, can you forgive me for that?" No, motherfucker, I don't forgive you for that. In fact, I hope that you die an even more painful death. Whatever the most painful death you could actually have, it should be like 10 times fucking worse than that. Not only because of the fact that this guy actually had the audacity to he killed my loved one, he killed my parent. Not only did he kill my parent, but he had the audacity to send a fucking letter and goes, "Hey, can you forgive me for killing your parent," basically? No, you want forgiveness, like I already said, you take your ass to fucking church. You're not going to get any forgiveness from me.
A mean-spirited hoax or a sincere deathbed confession? Without a signature or return address, there was no way to find out. The Dirscherl family believes that this letter is genuine, evidence that Robert Dirscherl did not take his own life. What's more, they say corroboration came from an even more extraordinary source, a psychic vision from beyond the grave.
Now, I don't really put that much stock in psychics, because there have been times that psychics have been determined to be liars. So, it's like a case by case for me, I look more at the scene of the crime. And something that does not make sense to me when we get to it, I'll point it out.
This most unusual case began in the most mundane manner.
Oh, where's the eye going, honey?
Oh, it's in that small cabinet underneath the mirror.
Oh, I got that problem again.
March 13th, 1977 was a Sunday. It was 7:30 a.m., an hour and a half before Robert Dirscherl and his wife Ginny would head off to church.
I heard a sound, a loud sound, but I assumed it was the slamming of the back door because the doors and windows were all open, and when you went out to the pool, that did slam.
A few minutes later, Ginny went to the bedroom to dress. Her husband was bleeding from a wound to the chest. His shotgun lay nearby.
Okay, so here's the one thing that caught my eye. Here, let me do this. And then I'm going to turn off my camera just for a second so you can see it. So, as you can see, his left foot does not have a shoe on it. And it's because if you heard in the beginning of this video, basically he said that he was having issues with, foot, his foot. I'm guessing like could have been like a foot fungus problem or something. The police are going with the theory that he committed suicide. If he's going to commit suicide, why would he just take off that one shoe? If you're going to commit suicide, are you really going to care about how you're actually dressed? Especially if you're going to use a shotgun on yourself. Shotguns are not the most. They're not the most clean of weapons. They're a spread weapon. You point to if you're going to off yourself with a shotgun, it's going to leave a mess. Do you think if you're going to commit suicide, do you think you're going to take one shoe off? No. What this was murder, because of the fact is that the person was most likely in a closet or something in that bedroom. Robert came into that room to take care of his foot ailment. The guy possibly came out of the closet or whatever. Didn't realize that Robert was still in there. Robert saw the guy. They fought. And sadly, Robert was killed. But I refuse to believe that this is a suicide, mainly because of the fact that if you have a foot ailment, are you going to take care of, are you going to address your foot ailment if you plan on killing yourself 2 minutes later? No, you're not going to. You're just going to do the business. You're not going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to go off into the great hereafter. I might as well make sure my feet aren't itching. What the fuck?
I bent down enough to know that he was dead. I was sure he was gone. I don't think I touched him. I called the police, and it seemed like they arrived immediately.
What time did you get here?
8:15.
Investigators found no evidence of a break-in, no sign of a struggle.
Well, if you guys remember, Robert's wife said that the windows were open. I'm guessing it was a nice spring morning or something, but the windows were open. So, yeah, they're not going to find any real evidence of a break-in if the motherfucker came in through a window.
Within 15 minutes, they concluded that Robert Dirscherl had committed suicide.
With one shoe off while he was taking care of his foot? I'm not even a goddamn police officer, and I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, are you fucking nuts? Are you fucking nuts? Why the hell would he be tending to his foot 1 minute and then all of a sudden decide, you know what, life isn't worth living anymore? There are times that the police in these cases will go for the easiest explanation because they don't want to put in the hard work to actually see a case through. It's easier to just slap something as a suicide or as a murder without actually investigating it than it is to actually take the time to do what you're supposed to do and research the fucking issue.
I say here the left shoe is off. I think what he did is he sat on the edge of the bed, put the shotgun up to his chest, pulled the trigger with his big.
Why would he lie to his wife and then tell her that he had this foot issue? Why wouldn't he just go into the fucking bedroom and do it that way then? Why? Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Ginny argued that her husband had merely been medicating a foot ailment, but she argued in vain. It would take the arrival of the mysterious letter more than 16 years later to push authorities to take a second look. Within 2 weeks, the case was reopened. The Dirscherl family had never seen the original police report on Robert's death. They secured a copy and went over it word by word.
It was just so full of untruths, guesswork, interviews of people that hadn't seen my father in more than 2 years. Close friends weren't spoken to.
If it took them only 15 minutes to make the assumption that the guy killed himself, that it was suicide, I'm not that shocked that they half-assed it, with the investigation itself.
And the Luger's loaded.
Investigators had concluded that Dirscherl was driven to suicide by despair over an unsuccessful surgery years earlier.
Why not? If he was going to end his life due to an unsuccessful surgery, why wait years later?
The one interview that they probably weigh most heavily is from a nurse who hadn't seen him in 2 years, who gives a report about his health that is so far from the truth, it's ridiculous. She portrays him as a bedridden vegetable, where he was a happy, healthy.
Apparently, he wasn't that much of a fucking vegetable. If, according to the police, he could literally take the shotgun and kill himself. Yeah, he's that much of a vegetable. Like I said, I'm not saying all police are bad. I'm not. There are good police, but then there are also police officers who are fucking lazy. They're lazy. Some of them don't want to do what is expected for them to do, so they'll just quickly label it as a suicide or as a murder or whatever, and they'll just move on. Yeah.
A fairly healthy man, had social life. He still traveled and still was a productive salesman.
It was strictly investigated as a suicide. I don't think there were any fingerprints taken of the gun or any place in the house. And that was the biggest mistake they made, not investigating.
No, I don't think that they actually mention it. I know that what I'm about to say, people are like, really, Jeff, you're going to say that? Possibly, I may be wrong. They should have done a test on the guy's foot to see if he actually had some sort of ailment. To take off your shoe, it sounds like he had like a cream or something that he was going to apply to his foot. That sort of stuff would leave a residue on your foot. I'm pretty sure it's like lotions. Do a test, see if there's actually something there. But no, it's too fucking late now. It's been 30 plus years.
I can see where it would be difficult for a family to accept a decision like that when they feel that perhaps their loved one may have been a victim of some other circumstance. But in law enforcement, we have to deal with what the evidence tells us.
Your own people, by their own admission, said it was about 15 minutes, and then they already declared it to be a suicide. I'm sorry, before you declare it a suicide, why don't you do, before you're even out of the house, why don't you do interviews with people? Instead of saying, oh, suicide, and then leave. Why not, take the body, of course, take photos, of the crime scene, take them to the morgue, and then start questioning people. Determine then if it was actually a suicide. Just don't look at what there is right then and there, Especially when the wife most likely told the police officers, hey, Robert, he was having a foot ailment. He went into the room to get his medicine. You know what the saddest thing is? There are times that people who are not even police officers are able to help get crimes solved sometimes. This sounds like this is going to be one of those times that it will take a stranger who's not even trained as a police officer to finally get this case solved.
The original investigation was conducted by the Dunedin Police Department, which dissolved in 1995. The Pinellas County Sheriff's Office later reviewed the available case files.
There seemed to be no sign of struggle, no forcible entry.
It doesn't have to. There doesn't have to be, a sign of struggle if the guy if Robert was caught off guard. He could have been literally sitting on the bed taking care of his foot. Like I said, maybe Robert was really quiet when it happened. He came into the room. The killer was already in the bedroom. He was possibly stealing stuff. He heard Robert was coming in. He goes and hides in the closet. Robert takes off his shoe. He takes off his sock because he was dressed to go to church, but the foot ailment was bothering him. So he went into the bedroom, took off his shoe and his sock, because if you noticed when I showed you that the image or the video, he had one shoe and sock, or one shoe still on, basically. He was sitting on the bed, taking care of himself. The killer thought that he was in the clear. He left the closet, walks out into the bedroom. Robert sees the guy. The guy quickly, as he sees Robert, he lifts up the gun. And as Robert is standing up, he gets shot and killed. At least that's how I could imagine it going.
No broken windows, disarray of any description in the bedroom where this encounter allegedly occurred, which again was gives us more belief that this was a suicide.
Without additional evidence, the ruling remained suicide. But for Robert Dirscherl's family, the case was anything but closed. Indeed, it grew more and more bizarre. In February of 1995, Jenny's sister Fran traveled from Florida to California. Fran, who is now deceased, told Jenny about an unnerving encounter on the train, an episode that defies explanation to this day.
Fran?
Well, yes.
Was your husband a doctor?
The young woman was a total
Was his
stranger,
name John?
but she revealed an uncanny familiarity with Fran and the Dirschels.
Well, then your husband's name was Earl.
Yes, that's right.
And how exactly
Well,
do you
they're
know
here.
that?
With Bob.
Bob.
Yes, your sister's husband. And he was murdered about 15 years ago.
Murdered?
Please, don't be frightened. I'm not a mystic or anything of that kind.
No, I'm not a mystic or anything of that kind. I'm just telling you stuff that I shouldn't really be knowing anything about. She may have been a psychic. She may have been. But then again, she could also be tied to this case. Maybe she knew the killer and that, that they were working in collusion to try and throw the family off, I'm not somebody who just believes everything at face value. That's why I don't believe that Robert he just committed suicide. No, I try to see every angle.
My father passed away a number of years ago, and he sends me messages from the other side. I think it's best that I write this down so that you can keep it with you and give it to your sister Ginny.
Fran said that the woman wrote down her psychic vision on a napkin.
My first reaction to psychic was...
And that's all right. Nobody says you have to believe a psychic. I know I don't. You have to be very convincing for me to believe them.
I mean, I didn't believe in psychics. I'm sorry. And yet, the more I heard...
on the Amtrak train,
I had to say I believe in this.
I see a picture in my mind regarding the murder of your sister's husband, Bob. I see a narrow door opening with a gun case showing. And your sister's husband is going to another cabinet near the mirror to look for foot treatment for athlete's foot. He looks up and he sees a stranger in the adjoining room. Alarmed, the robber fights with Bob.
Now, the only thing that kind of has me kind of curious is the psychic is saying that they were fighting over the gun. You would think that if they were fighting over the gun, that Robert would have made some sort of loud noise, like, like, hey, get out of my house, give me my gun, or what, he'd definitely be making a commotion. The wife, she said, she did not, I don't think she said anything about hearing a noise, that basically she was there at the kitchen table, I think it was, reading a magazine or whatever it was. And then all of a sudden she heard the pop. She thought it was the back door. I don't think that Robert would have been fighting over a gun quietly, like as a mime. Like, no, he would be most likely fighting over that gun and making as much noise to try and attract his wife so they could fight off this individual. Because the odds, 2 against 1 are better odds than just 1 against 1. And when one of them has a gun pointed at you.
The things that were written by the young lady on the Amtrak train were startling in that some of this information wasn't anywhere to be found. It was just too real. It was as if this person was in the room.
She's made no effort to gain from it. There's been no approach to us, which you would expect if there was a hoax. And I honestly believe it was a situation that took place that I can't explain in the reality of this world. It's kind of spooky.
Bob Dirscherl died at 54, seemingly well before his time. Perhaps it was his choice, made for reasons known only to himself.
I'm sorry, it's just the one thing I cannot get past. Okay, well, I'm going to put on this cream or this ointment. Then I'm going to shoot myself in the chest. It just makes no sense to me. Why would somebody go that route instead of just going off into the bedroom without telling the wife anything and do the business? Why did he make such a, fuss about, like, I got this issue with my foot flaring up again. I'm going to go take care of it, And then she's like, okay. And then he goes in there and why even interact with her in that manner if he's going to go and just.
Or perhaps Bob Dirscherl's life was taken by a stranger who wrote from the deathbed asking for forgiveness.
And as I already said before, you know my thoughts about that. You know, like, no, the guy does not deserve forgiveness. He killed a beloved family member of a family. That is such like entitlement to like the 10th degree. Yeah, I'm gonna kill your family member, but can you forgive me for it? Like I said, you know, if that was my mom and that he killed, and he goes, hey, you know, sends a letter, hey Jeff, yeah, about slitting your mom's neck, you know, 30 years ago or whatever. Can you forgive me? I got AIDS. Fuck no, you don't get forgiveness. You in fact, I hope you fucking have the worst death possible. I hope that just before you die, that you're screaming for death. That's how badly I hope that you'd be in pain and everything.
In my own mind, my father is a victim of murder. And I would like to be able to tell my children without a question that this is what took place. And I would like the people who know my father and the community to know what happened.
There may be somebody out there who was talked to by the killer, revealed something in prison to an attorney, to a parent, to a friend. It's a small world, and stranger things have happened. That's one of my hopes, is that somebody out there can fit the last piece of the puzzle into place.
The unsigned confession letter was mailed from Tampa, Florida, and postmarked March 13th, 1993.
Okay, so we have an update. Here, let me pull it up and then I'll turn off my camera so you can read it. Okay, so Robert Dirscherl's wife passed away before the mystery of her husband's death was solved, but Robert's children hope the truth will someday be revealed. Okay, and that was it. A sad, tragic case of somebody who died a needless death. You know, like, and I'm not sure what it is. It's just the fact that the killers, you know, that they were so entitled to be like, yeah, I killed that person. Can you forgive me for it? It's like that they're automatically just expecting to be forgiven, you know, and I'm pretty sure that there may or may not be members of Robert's family that ended up forgiving this guy. I don't know. I'm not there. But for me, if I was one of Robert's kids, I'd be like, fuck you. Fuck you. You don't deserve compassion or sympathy or mercy or pity. No, you deserve to be fucking... You deserve to die worse for what you did. Okay, that's everybody. If you are new to this series, this is basically where I go to the Unsolved Mysteries wiki and I look up the case that we just watched to see if there is actually any new updates that were not presented in the televised airing. So let's do this. So this was actually part of season 9, episode 12 of Unsolved Mysteries. So let's go there. Okay, and of course, let's close this. Thank you. So this case is in the Florida 1977-1993, and then it's also part of the murder, suspicious death, unusual phenomenon cases, train-related cases, and unsolved. Here, let's actually zoom in a little bit. There we go. Robert Dirscherl. His real name was Robert John Dirscherl Sr. He went by the nickname of Bob. The location was, I think it's pronounced Dunedin or Dunedin. It's in Florida. The date was March 13th, 1977. We already know the case, so let's just kind of scroll past. Here's a picture of the letter. Basically, you know, it's what was already kind of on the, you know, show itself. Okay, suspects. Robert's family believes that the letter writer was the killer. The letter was postmarked March 13th, 1993, and was mailed from Tampa, Florida. So, wait, hold on. It's a Dunedin, Florida, sorry. So, let's actually do a quick research, shall we? Okay. Dunedin, Florida. Oh, so it would help if I did the directions. There it goes. Dunedin, Florida to Tampa, Florida. I'm just curious, how far is that? Like, so according to this, depending on which route you take, it could go anywhere between 30 miles or 25 miles to 33.9 miles with a travel time of between 42 minutes to 48 minutes. So it's actually that far away, it looks like. It doesn't really look like it's that far away. What I would have done is see if there's anybody that the family of Robert Dirscherl knew that was in Tampa, Florida. Okay. Okay, so the case, extra notes, the case was featured as part of the February 14th, 1997 episode. Some sources spell Robert's last name as Dirscherl as Dirschel. Robert's son Daniel has written a book about the case, Healing Wounds, The Redemption Legacy. And then results. Unsolved. It has since been discovered that the Dirscherl family had a neighbor and family friend who was a teenager at the time of Robert's death. He had been in the Dirscherl home several times before and would later be convicted of several burglaries and robberies. Years later, he died of AIDS. The neighbor's friend remembered that he often used the term daddy, similar to how it was used in the confession letter. Oh my God, I'm wondering if that was him. The Dirscherl family believes that the neighbor was responsible for Robert's death. Handwriting analysis was done comparing the neighbor's handwriting to the letter. However, it is not known if the results of the analysis are revealed. The police still consider his death a suicide, of course. They're going to go with the easiest route possible. Sometimes you literally have to drag the police out to do the fucking job that they're supposed to do. So the Dirscherl family cannot get a final resolution until his death is ruled a homicide. In 2010, forensic investigators determined that the evidence supported that the death was a homicide. Surprisingly, as of 2015, authorities and medical examiners have given 7 different theories as to how Robert may have committed suicide, while the evidence seems to suggest otherwise. Sadly, Robert's wife Ginny died in 2000, and his son Guy died in 2019 without ever seeing the case resolved. What it seems like, from my point of view, from my perspective here, it seems like that the police are also trying to hide something. They are very adamant on saying that Robert committed suicide. Even when there's evidence and everything that shows that it could have been a murder, they're like, oh, okay, you don't believe that this one way could have been a suicide. Well, here's 7 more. What? It sounds like they're very desperate to push the suicide narrative. And the question is, why? Okay, let's go to the Find a Grave and see what we got here. Okay, so this is another website I go to just to kind of, show everybody like where the people are who were in this case and everything. I'm sorry, it's just kind of upsetting. Number one, you have the asshole asking for forgiveness, and then you have, not only is that bad enough, but you also have the police that are just so damn determined to be like, no, suicide, or you don't believe, here's the reasoning for suicide. Well, here's 7 more. I just don't understand it. Robert John Bob Dirscherl Sr. And here it says that he was a veteran. Date of birth was January 5th, 1923. Wow. If he actually was still alive, he would have been 102 years old this year. Can you believe that? He could have been 102 years old this year. Instead, some piece of shit killed him when he was only 54 years old. What a fucking loser, Date of death, March 13th, 1977. He was 54 years of age. Location of death was Dunedin, Pinellas County, Florida, USA. He was buried at the Sylvan Abbey Memorial Park in Clearwater, Pinellas County, Florida, USA. And the plot is the Oak Lawn Garden. Okay, here's some photos. Okay, so we have this photo here. This was taken from the show. And then here's his tombstone. And then finally, the location. I'll be honest, it looks very peaceful. Okay, and then he has some, here's the family members and everything. His parents, Private Walter Joseph Dirscherl, born 1892. Oh my gosh. To 1952. Mother was Genevieve Augusta Pullman Dirscherl, 1897 to 1974. His spouse, Virginia Rose Ginny Bingham Dirscherl, 1926 to 2000, and they were married in 1944. And then he had a sibling, Jane Ann Dirscherl Harmon, 1920 to 2005, and his child Guy Lloyd Dirscherl, 1953 to 2019. If I remember correctly, Guy was the one that received the letter at the beginning of the video. Okay, but that is it, ladies and gentlemen. It's just sad that somebody was brutally murdered the way that they were, and it seems for some reason the police are literally they're trying to look at every angle except the most logical answer, which is indeed suicide. I just don't understand it. I do not understand it at all. But but that is it for another case of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. This one, I was actually planning on doing this one. I was actually planning on doing a different case from this episode of Unsolved Mysteries that this case was on, but I just got upset when I saw that letter again, and I wanted to give. That is it, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to say thank you to everybody who has taken the time out of their day to watch this video. It means a lot to me. As always, if you like what you watch, feel free to, leave a thumbs up, leave a, comment if you would like. And the next case, I'm thinking about taking a little bit of time off because we are in the holiday season. And basically the next case the next scheduled case, it is currently, by the way, just so you know, it is currently December 14th. So I got about 11 days. So I may take a little bit of a break when it comes to Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. And then the next one possibly, unless if I decide to do another random episode or random installment. But in the next scheduled case, it will be the case of whatever wins the poll. Basically, I have a poll on my YouTube page between a couple cases, and that one, the winner of that poll will be the case for the Christmas special. So, but that is it. I just want, like I said, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I will see you all later. My name is Jeff, aka GCurse, and I'll see you on the next installment of Unsolved Mysteries Commentary. Peace out.